top window frame, wedging it along the lines of thick green paint, until the frame gave in, and the sound of the city finally wafted up toward us. A tinny radio from somewhere on the block seemed to play Rock the Boat all day long, and sometimes my brother sang the lyrics around his thumb. So I'd like to know where you got the notion. Said I'd like to know where. From that window, from July until the end of August, we saw Brooklyn turn a heart-rending pink at the beginning of each day and sink into a stunning gray blue at dusk. In the late morning, we saw the moving vans pull up. White people we didn't know filled the trucks with their belongings, and in the evenings, we watched them take long looks at the buildings they were leaving, then climb into station wagons and drive away. A pale woman with dark hair covered her face with her hands as she climbed into the passenger side, her shoulders trembling. My brother and I were often alone. My father's job in the men's section at Abraham and Straus department store was downtown, and he left just after sunrise to take the B-52 bus. We had never been on that bus or any city bus. Buses were as foreign to us as the black and brown boys on the street below, shooting bottle caps across chalk-drawn numbers, their hands and knees a dusty white at the end of the day. Sometimes the boys looked up at our window. More than once, a beautiful one winked at me. For many years, I didn't know his name. Early one morning, as my brother and I took our place by the window, cereal bowls in our laps, a young boy pulled a wrench from his pocket, used it to remove the cap from the fire hydrant below us, then turned the top of the hydrant until white water pounded into the street. We watched the water for hours. Children we didn't know, but suddenly hated with a jealousy thick enough to taste, ran through it, their undershirts and cutoffs sticking to their brown bodies. I saw Sylvia, Angela, and Gigi again that day, pulling each other into the water, their voices floating up to our window. "Is she laughing at us?" my brother asked. "That red-haired girl, she just looked up at our window and laughed." "Shush," I said. "She isn't even anybody." I was beginning to hate them. I was beginning to love them. Sometimes Angela stood apart from the others, biting fiercely at her nails, her short afro dripping. The high yellow of her skin was as familiar as Tennessee to me. At the small church our mother took us to sometimes, 4 sisters who looked like Angela sat up front, their hair straightened, braided, and white-ribboned, their backs straight. As their father preached, I watched them, wondering what it was like to walk the edge of holy. "For God so loved the world," their father would say, "He gave His only begotten Son." But what about His daughters, I wondered. What did God do with His daughters? My father had grown up in Brooklyn, but joined the military at 18 and was stationed at a base near Clarksville, Tennessee, then Vietnam, then my mother and Sweet Grove. He was missing a finger on each hand, the pinky on his left and on his right hand the thumb. When we asked him how it happened, he wouldn't answer. So my brother and I spent hours imagining ways to lose 2 fingers in a war. Knives, bombs, tigers, sugar diabetes. The list went on and on. His parents had grown old and died only a block from where we now lived. That summer, when we begged him to let us go outside during the day, he shook his head. "The world's not as safe as you all like to believe it is," he said. "Look at Biafra," he said. "Look at Vietnam." I thought of Gigi, Sylvia, and Angela walking arm in arm through the streets below our window. How safe and strong they looked. How impenetrable. One Sunday morning, on the way to the small church my father had found for us, a man wearing a black suit stopped him. "I've been sent by the prophet Elijah, in the name of Allah," he said, "with a message for you, my beautiful black brother." The man looked at me, his eyes moving slowly over my bare legs.